I'm just going to have a quick introduction about myself and some of the colleagues with me here today. Up in the right-hand corner, Peter Connor is our Northwest Regional Director, who covers the patch. Tim O'Sullivan is responsible for public affairs for BT, and Steve Edwards has been doing a lot of the work on the technical design about what's possible here in, well, you're supposed to be up there, Steve, but technical design, what is possible in Cumbria today. Just a brief introduction about myself. Despite the accent, I've been here for 21 years. The last 8 years, 5 years, I was the managing director of our small and medium business division. I had over 1 million customers, 2.5 billion pounds of revenue. Obviously put me right at the heart of a key part of the economy, and an area I grew not just to understand, but love. 3 years prior to that, I had 3 jobs. I ran our business in the Republic. Matter of fact, we helped 3 build their network when they came into Ireland. I was the CEO of our Northern Ireland business, and I was responsible for a team of about 50 people that actually ran around the country, working with areas like Cumbria to deliver the first generation of broadband. So the reason we have 104 exchanges covered today is because of your effort and our effort. And the coverage we enjoy in the UK today, which is very unique in the world, is because of public-private partnership. And that's really the theme of what I'm here to talk about. It is going to take a partnership across the spectrum of both government and industry in order to make this happen. I'm just going to read one thing to sort of set the stage. What you may not know is that we are determined to roll broadband out beyond the 66% of the country we've already committed to. We've committed 2.5 billion pounds of investment over the next 5 years to deploy next generation access, so 40 up to 100 megabit services to 66% of the country. It's a starting point. But in order to do the rest, we have to work in partnership. The final third is a shared challenge, but more importantly, it's a shared responsibility. We take that very, very seriously. We need to work together in partnership to work it out, how to do it in a way that's both good for Cumbria and good for the UK and works for BT. And when I represent BT today, I don't just represent the company known as BT, but also 1,400 service providers, 1,400 communications companies that use our networks to deploy services in Cumbria and around the UK. All the big brands. So yes, okay, maybe there's only a couple of infrastructure providers or competitors to BT in Cumbria, but Cumbria enjoys the same choice as any other part of the UK because of the networks we provide and the regulatory environment that we have here, which is quite unique, that the government drove, which has created the most competitive communications market in the UK, in the world today, I believe. You know, where you can get update megabit broadband for £6 a month, it's not a bad price. Some might argue it's too low, but nonetheless, that's the market. We buy into this. We're very excited by this. We're part of this. We're part of this. We're part of the solution. We're not here to fight anybody. We're here to work with people, whether that be as customers or partners, whether that's as competitors. We love to compete. And I'll show you some examples of where we have competed and are deploying NGA services today in the UK, which I think you'll find very, very interesting. Just to recap, just the size of the challenge that we face. 2.5 billion investment. It's the largest single private sector investment in the world. The largest single private sector investment in the world today. You juxtaposition that versus Australia, New Zealand, the United States, where the government, the US alone, I think it's over $8 billion. And they won't get nationwide coverage. But there's $8 billion. I think the Australians is a similar number in Australian dollars. It's a huge civil engineering project. That's why it's so important to work with the county. We have 30,000 cabinets to replace and 50,000 kilometers of fiber to lay. This is about access. It's not about backhaul. and a lot of that has to be replaced. Yes, we'll use the copper asset. It will deliver up to 40 megabits. There are tests going on in the labs today that will drive it up to 100. But the long run game is obviously a richer fiber deployment, and that's what we're aiming to do. We are very, very busy today. 100,000 homes a week are passed in the deployment of superfast broadband as we sit here. So we're motoring, and we're also trialing FTTP. Matter of fact, one of your sponsors, Huawei, is a very important supplier to us. So by December, we should have 4 million homes passed. Despite what you might have heard earlier, there's a tremendous amount of investment still going into the network. On the first two, DSL 1, DSL 2, 25,000 broadband connections across all service providers are deployed in the UK each week. And as you can see, we're going to deliver 75% DSL2 by next spring. That investment continues to be made. In addition to that, we work the copper network as hard as we can, and as you know, we're pushing fiber out. We are very, very active on the fiber to the cabinet, fiber to prem, but I also don't want you to forget about is Ethernet. It's a suite of services underpinned by technology that allow, especially with Ethernet, businesses to network, whether it's to access the internet, to network their businesses around the UK, or around the world. That Ethernet network that BT provides, many carriers use it as well. BT uses it, and it can get you over to, I think, 174 countries today. So if you do have an international business here based in Cumbria, well, they can network around the world on the back of that infrastructure. So Ethernet is quite critical to businesses. I just want to touch on that, and it sort of was talked about with the retail presentation earlier. You know, we get hung up sometimes about infrastructure. It's very, very important. Yes, and we do need higher speeds and higher quality services, there's no question. But the UK is quite remarkable in its use of the internet. Matter of fact, if you look at any of the statistics out there, the UK usually falls 1 or 2. 40 million internet users today. 71% of the country using some type of, in this instance, a fixed network infrastructure. All right, 19 million businesses use broadband. As I said, 25,000 people are buying DSL 1 and DSL 2 today. Our prices, competition is very high at the service provision level, and our prices are some of the lowest in Europe today. Not just for end user prices, but also our backhaul. We have a very, very unique environment here. Rich in competition, rich in choice, and our use of it is world beating. And that's collectively, that's not BT. It's the people it's the businesses and citizens that make up this country. I deal with a lot of myths. Everybody's got their opinion about BT, and they're entitled to it. Matter of fact, if anybody has a question that I can't answer today, or anybody has a problem, you can get to me at bill.murphy@bt.com. bill.murphy@bt.com. All right, and I'd be very, very happy to take away any challenges or any issues that you might have. The payback for, excuse me? Well, I have a pen if you like one. I have a pen if you like. The payback for the superfast broadband case on the 66% we have agreed to do is in excess of 11 years. And the take-up that we're planning is over 20%. So it's quite high. It's not for the faint-hearted. Cost of backhaul, I'm constantly told, is a problem. Again, we have some of the cheapest in Europe. And that we're not interested in rural broadband. Well, actually, of the 5,500 exchanges that exist today, we're in every single one of them with broadband but 26. And 3 of those are just about to fall as well. So we did roll out broadband collectively right across the country. I was very much involved with the first generation broadband rollout in Northern Ireland when I was responsible for Northern Ireland, but this is what Northern Ireland recently did. The Department of Enterprise, Trade and Industry put out a tender for superfast broadband because they were very concerned about providing those services to businesses. This was competed. It was a technology neutral tender, and it was competed for by BT and others, and we've won. And that £48 million investment is a joint investment. It is not all coming from the government. And what that means is by May 2011, 85% of Northern Ireland will be covered. And those of you familiar with Northern Ireland, it's 2 cities and a lot of rural area. There's another county in England we are working with today that is extremely rural, approximately 140 exchanges. Again, they were looking to roll out broadband. They wanted a 100% increase in speed, very much focused on business regeneration, but also wanted to provide these services to citizens. £100 million project, jointly funded by BT and the county. It will be signed shortly, and when it is, 2.5 years later, 85 to 90% of that region will have fiber-based services. And at that point, unless we do something faster here in Cumbria, it will be the deepest penetration of fiber in a rural community in the world. I'll give you one other example, and this was touched on a bit earlier today. There is a need in certain areas for 2 megabits. 2 megabits isn't a step backwards if you don't have anything today. But it's a step forward, but it's not the last step either. So if you can provide 1 megabit or 2 megabit stable services, especially where 2 megabits will give you iPlayer or allow farmers to provide, address all the things that DEFRA is putting online these days, very, very important. Matter of fact, we have a trial of the 2 megabit service in Wigton that's running and has been running this past year. So we have 2 counties or 2 regions that we've done super fast broadband, and one where we're rolling out 2 megabit. You've seen this slide. I won't talk it up. Red is obviously bad, but we know that today. Well, I wouldn't give you a problem. I'm here to give you a solution. As a result of Rory's prodding, working with the county, and the opportunity that BDUK has presented, and that they're going to fund 3 or 4 NGA trials here in the UK, we've submitted, in conjunction with the county, a tender response that will deploy in Rory's constituency, but we're also going to do Carlisle, because that's quite important to it, piece of puzzle, where we can get 80% coverage of fiber, about 75,000 premises, a mixture of FTTC, so fiber to the cabinet, and fiber to the home, and be able to do that, probably similar type time frame, 2.5 years, if we're successfully awarded it. So we can address the rural challenge of super fast broadband in Cumbria. We're asking for some money. We're also prepared to put up money. We don't ask for 100%, nowhere near it. What we ask for is the ability to work with people, to share a vision, to have a shared goal, all right, and to go for it. This is a simple model that we use when I go out and speak to county CEOs. You got to build a plan. You got to know what the size of the prize is. You also got to know what's going to cost.